Robin, if you could tear yourself away from Facebook and whatever is so funny just for a second, then perhaps you could fill us in on last night. By all accounts, it was an eventful one. It was only then that I realised I was still laughing 16 years later. I'd got Joe's Facebook message on the night shift. By now, 8 a.m. at handover, I could think of nothing else. I knew it off by heart. I'd read it so many times. I turned away from my computer to find the whole office waiting for me to start, and Jeremy, our team manager, perched on the edge of a desk, wearing one of his 5 for a tenner shirts. Yes, it was eventful, I stuttered. Really, really busy, actually. In fact, there must have been something in the planets. Something in the full moon which hung like a mint imperial over South London. Because, as well as receiving Joe's Facebook message, the first contact I'd had from him in 5 years, it had been one of the busiest night shifts I'd ever known. Everyone was going mad. John Irwin, one of Kingsbridge Mental Health Trust's most notorious clients, had been arrested after being caught having sex in Burgess Park. And all you need to know about that, I said, when I finally got myself together enough to join in the handover, is that he was butt naked when arrested, but still wearing his Dennis the Menace wig, and I think you have to love John for that. Kay, Parv and Leon, also CPNs, community psychiatric nurses, had an affectionate giggle, but Jeremy was not amused. If you could just stick to what actually happened, Robin. And so I told them how John was a little agitated when I arrived at Walworth Police Station. This was a distinct downplay of events. I'd been able to hear him shouting as soon as I got there. "Why can't a man have sex with his girlfriend if he wants to? It's an abuse of my human rights, Doctor! My human rights!" But Dr. Manur and I had managed to calm him down. Dr. Manur has been John's psychiatrist for years, and thankfully knows him as well as I do. John is perhaps one of the more extreme clients I work with, although there's not really such a thing as extreme in this job, and institutionalised now. I find people like him the absolute saddest. It's as if they had their breakdown aged 18 and stayed that age. Arrested development. John has been sectioned more times than most people have had hot dinners. Still, if you talked to John when he was well, he talked a lot of sense. He was a bright man. He could tell you every single species of butterfly. And he was in a relationship. Because the night shift had been so full on, handover ran over. As well as John Irwin bearing all in Burgess Park, Levi Holden was admitted with an overdose. I really don't mean to sound glib when I say this happens quite often. Of the 30 people on my caseload, Levi's probably my favourite. 6 feet of utter gorgeousness for a start. He's also hilarious when he's not suicidal. And even when he is suicidal, he's probably funnier than the average person. He has a little job washing cars in the Dulwich Sainsbury's car park. The other day he was making me laugh so much, slagging off all the Dulwich mums in their 4x4s and their £200 weekly shops. "Those mofo Dulwiches with their massive wagons and their whining dollies in the back, and enough food to feed the whole of Peckham. It's a wonder they're not more mofo-wide, the amount of money they spend on food." I laugh a lot in my job. I guess with darkness has to come light, and you'd be amazed how gallows the humour can get. You don't have to be mad to do this job, but it helps, they say. But I wonder if we're not all a bit mad already, and it's just a question of when, not if, the lid comes off. I find it hard at the best of times going home and straight to sleep after a night shift. Your body's exhausted, but your mind is on overdrive. Will Levi take another overdose? Will John be on the psychiatric ward yelling for his Dennis the Menace wig? These are usually the things I'm thinking as I leave the office for my bed. Today, however, it was Joe's Facebook message. We were having one of those freak early spring warm spells. Peckham's teens had already stripped to their Primark hot pants, and so I decided to walk to Oval rather than get the bus. Camberwell was alive and kicking. African ladies in tropical shade headdresses, stalls piled high with okra and plantain, spilling onto the street. A watermelon rolled onto the pavement. As I put it back, I could just make out the wiry form of Dimitri, the owner of the shop, sitting like a drying chilli on his deck chair at the back. I passed Chicken Cottage and the laundrette, where the aroma of fried chicken turned into the heavy bluebell notes of Lenore. Across the road, in the park, a group of teenagers were dancing to some rapper blasting from a pimped-up beatbox. The heart of South London couldn't